Okay, so recording has started. So this is a quick demo for drawing Opal. And first of all, we need to really look into the references. So I chose the blue because there's a lot of things that shows in the blue in some of these references that we have. And when you see carefully, you see a lot of detail inside. And those details are maybe when they crystalline or whatever, they form different layers and different little parcels inside. It's very difficult to mimic exactly what it is. So we have to have a quick glance and then just try to pick up the essence of it. And the other essence would be the shine. So the bright little bit of the white or the light tone, and that makes it shiny. And there's so many other colors which can even be devastating if you want to cover everything. But observe, and then you'll see some of the tones that you can use. And sometimes, for example, this one would be too crazy and challenging. Even if you follow all the colors and the tones, by the time you finish, it doesn't look good enough. Yeah, so choose something and you can experiment with. So I am starting with the blue. I already put the blue tones onto it. And as you notice, I make it a little bit heavier on this side already. So it's kind of looks like this is curved already. And I have experiment a bit of things here. So this is the color pencil, which is the watercolor color pencil. And if I use water, it will dissolve and then it will melt here. And that will create some effect that can be pretty helpful. Okay, so let me bring this over a little bit more. There you go. So I'm trying to mimic this. And what I can do is, first of all, I try the marker. And I can deposit a bit more of the marker here. And this is kind of like the random directional strokes. So I'm putting this here. Yeah, same color. But first of all, try the same color one. It's safer in case it doesn't work. And then I'm using this ultramarine. And then do it on the side first. So it looks really dark and it looks really scary. So I'm gonna put a few of those on. It seems to work okay. And some of these are a little bigger. So I have larger patches, and then it's going to be similar on this one. And this one seems to work even better. And then I am going to put these two color pencil there. So I'm experimenting a bit here and a bit here. So they are both blue, but in different shade. And brush. So look at that. Okay, now that's better. See that? So with this, I can put the tone here. And then start to brush it. And then it melts. And the color is blending in quite well. And I can even use this as my palette, and then I can add the tones. And you can also deposit right onto it. So you have a more intense tones. Hmm. Okay. I'll put the light a little closer. That, that seems to work okay. Now that's the dark part. And the light part with some of these more shiny areas, I'm using a white. So this is the one which I did before. And you can see I put a lot of white there. And that can be done by this. So just randomly put the white on. And uh, the, the less water you put in, the sharper line that you see. See, this is getting there. And I'm going to wait until this is more dry and then I'll add the pastel on to make it more shiny. And before finishing, leaving that alone, I'm adding a bit more intense white to some spots. There might be a little bit of shine inside the dark area. Not a lot, but a little bit. And then on this one, I'll do something more interesting, which is to have a secondary tone. When you see some of these, you see a mixture of a bright color into a dark color. So I am having a green here. And then I'm adding the blue around. One of the trick that you guys would practice is to circle the piece carefully and then work towards the inside so it doesn't bleed out. But of course, you know the trick. If you have a lot of bleeding outside, you can always add a black outline and then black the entire background. And then that will save the unevenness or the bleeding. So after that, I'm going to use the green again to spread it out. So now it becomes a bit gradational. And still keeping the brightness of the green. Yeah, see that this is how it works. And if these are some bizarre colors like these, you have to really experiment with mixing the different colors. Yeah. And using marker is a bit better than using other medium like the color pencil because the color pencil will wax out everything and it's very hard to put color on unless there is also a trick, but I don't have it here. If you have the water-based medium and then you want to apply onto marker, this is no problem. But if you have the water-based medium, you want to apply onto the waxed surface of color pencil, add a drop of detergent into the water medium. Yeah. So what makes water go onto oil? Detergent. So if you either have a little piece of soup or whatever, and then you can brush the tiny bit of soup and then try to use it, and then the water content will adhere onto the wax content. Yeah, but you might want to try a few times and see how it works. Yeah, makes sense. All right, so this one is kind of dry enough. So I'm gonna experiment with okay, I'll move it down a little bit more of this. So the darker watercolor pencil onto the shady area. And then the water content. This is kind of mimicking, let me pull this away. A bit of this or a bit of this. See what I'm trying to do? And maybe I'll put it here. Yeah, that makes sense. So this one, and I see a bit darker on this side. So darker on this side. And a bit darker there. And here. Well, of course you can improvise. And then using the water. And things will feather in quite well. Yeah. So I'll take it from here. And the one right here, I would use mostly this. And this is what I'm doing. Yeah. So imagine this is your bad hair day. This is your hair strangled together. So this is what you do. So randomly go around. And some of these could go pretty dark and pretty saturated. And then adding the water in some random spots. And naturally, it's starting to look good. Now, this one is kind of drying, so I am going to add the white on. Not a lot, but this one doesn't have a lot of these crystalline things, but I'll add it on anyway, just to a little bit. And this one is drying, so I'm adding more. Okay, and I'm letting these two to dry, while these two are probably dry enough. So I'm using the pastel pencil to go over it. And then I will be smudging it. Okay, I'm using a piece of Kleenex paper towel. So once you smudge it, this is looking smooth. And that's starting to resemble the smoothness. of the polished surface of the stone. And that one, same thing. Okay, so after that, the intense highlight, which is I'm using the brush this time. So a large drop of white onto the designated area. Say if this is the highlight, or you see a dot here, or highlight here. And that needs to be sharp and intense. So maybe one layer is not enough, then you need to add another layer. And color pencil, gel pen or the pastel pencil may not be intense enough in this case. Yeah, so there you go. And this one seems to be dry enough, so pastel, smudging, and a bit more pastel. And then the white. And I think I'll try to follow this reference and then put a little bit of white here. Yeah, so that's how it looks. And then this one, similar white on the top left. And smudging. And more white. It's not showing that well yet, but maybe I'll add a couple more layers. And I can add a little bit here. And the final touch could be adding a bit of shadow or the shady uh, pastel pencil, this guy, onto here. And then getting your Q-tip. And then they look like they're standing up quite well. Yeah, that makes sense. Now, another one, which I prepared to show you was the more crazy ones, which are these two. Yeah. So what do you see there? Yes, it's really tiny and the colors are really subtle. But when I observed earlier when I'm preparing it, I picked these colors. Yeah. So you see all these colors here, right? And I was trying. So basically, with all these, I'll move it down a little. You see what I did here? I was trying on this side, and then let's work on it. So with these, um, there are two options. The first one is pretty set, I mean, pretty intense here. And let me move my light to better position. Nah. Oh yeah, that's better. This is more saturated. This is less saturated. So if I'm doing this one, I would just randomly put these on. I see the pink. And then the light turquoise. And purple. And of course, a lot of blue. A bit of yellow. And I think I need a darker blue. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, looks like this is good enough, right? And you could just leave it as is, or you could try to smudge it a little bit and see whether that can help to smoothen the tone. And I think it does. Yeah. Now, here's the trick of making it shiny. Eraser. And I am erasing this to make a highlight right there. And it may not work perfectly. So the other option is, of course, to use the brush. So let's see if this works well enough. It looks reasonable because the colors are already pretty subtle. Yeah, it does cover a bit. Yeah, so that's a bit of the shininess. And if you like the gradational tone, then you can use the eraser to erase a bit further, and that can create that tone. And for the darker area, you could keep adding a little bit of the shade to make it slightly heavier and then smudge. So this is all color pencil. That makes sense? Now this one is the most challenging one because this is so subtle. Everything is subtle. So what I'm going to do, I'll do something similar here, but I am using minimal force. And I'm leaning the pencil to the side a lot. I'm not using this point to press on it. I'm using the side. So when I'm using the side, I can be really light and subtle. Yeah, imagine this is your baby and then you're kind of applying lotion to your baby's face. So be very gentle and very light. So you see that really, really subtle tone there. Yeah. Oh, which one?
The first color.
Color, yeah, blue. And then second one, purple. Now I'm leaving the top left side empty because that's the highlight, and I'm kind of knowing that, well, if this side is going to be untouched, then that will show the highlight well enough. And I think I'll add a little bit more blue onto this side. And then I'll do the green. Oops.
Sorry. It's crazy.
And then a bit of red or pink. Now this is up to you to enhance specific area of any of the tones. And this is so abstract, so it doesn't matter. And then the yellow, a little bit. And yeah, so how's it look? Good enough? Yeah. I say I personally would like a little bit more blue, but not on everywhere. Okay, then shady shadow. All right, so here you go, opals. And you could choose other colors like the red or the this one is so weird. It's tricky to make it look decent enough because the color is like mud, yeah, or bird poop. Yeah. And these ones are a bit more dramatic. So choose the one which is easier to understand. Yeah, if you want to practice that. Yeah, so I'll put the stop the video recording for now.